What is up, everybody? Good morning. It's good to be back. We're back doing content. Morning Mint is making its return. I'm gonna add this in alongside all the cool stuff I'm doing at Pluid, as well as alongside with our Angel Investor Network. I thought it'd be a great way to start doing. Gotta mute this so that I'm not kidding. But I did want to bring back in some way a bunch of really great content, but also be able to highlight a lot of what we're working on, a lot of what we're doing, and make sure that, you know, what originally allowed me to have a platform and chat with everybody, we still have. So we're bringing it back. We do have a very interesting show for everybody today. We'll be going over a lot of what we saw over the weekend, as well as what you need to know about what's coming up this week, and obviously today, most notably. So Morning Mint is back. We're gonna look at the market. We're gonna look at Doodles and Pudgies absolutely having a breakout moment and really taking the narrative of the entire NFT market, and also making kind of the statement alongside with some large sales and very unique attribute traits sales over the weekend, that the NFT market and the crypto market are really healthy and coming back, and we are seeing a lot of green around the markets. We're also going to talk specifically on that topic about Bitcoin and why I think it's probably the most obvious play. And I know this is not a new or unique narrative, but why we should have a little bit more of an eye, and if you should have some exposure there. DN 4404s, we did see Quit and Siger talking about this, and it's obviously with Parallel or with Pandora taken over the mind share of a lot of what we're seeing happen within the new kind of emerging NFT market. That standard and what they're working on, and why you should be paying attention to what they are doing as leading developers in the space. Ether this was controversial. Obviously, Sotheby's saying that they were a pivotal and influential project, and some disagreeing with that. But the memeability and what they stand for within the NFT space cannot be understated. They had some big sales, and what I also think that means, what the institutions talking about this stuff again in the way that they are, what that means. And then we'll look at some TGE events. We have Wormhole and Pixel right around the corner, as well as some others. And obviously we'll wrap it up with some venture capital and angel talk about what I see in the market, and if you are a builder or raising right now, what I think you should be doing. And if you're an investor, you're an angel person, angel investor, looking to write some angel checks, what I think you should be doing, and why it's important right now to really, again, if you are investing, why it is important to start making the effort to get as many deals in front of you as possible as we enter into the bull. It's good to be back. Really good to be back. I didn't think we were going to be doing this type of content anymore, but I thought it over, and I think that it makes the most sense. So for those who aren't aware, I started doing the Morning Mint almost 2.5 years ago, and then obviously stopped doing it. But where we are now is a morning show every day, 11 a.m., about 30 minutes. Just grab a couple of topics. We'll hop on. This is available on YouTube and as well on podcast form, where you can go back and listen. All the links are obviously on the YouTube, and you can find those through X as well. This really is to, again, serve. One is it's just a good way for me to talk about what I've written down during the day and what I see come across my desk. But again, I am doing a lot of work within this space that does revolve around the NFT and crypto market, venture deal side. And I think a lot of these topics are very important to highlight what I'm seeing and what I have, what I'm thinking about on the market. With that said, it would be very helpful if you guys do go and subscribe, leave a comment, recommend this to whoever. And I cannot thank enough the 555 community for the last week of internal testing. We did private shows every day at 11 a.m. And basically they helped me take this from being terrible and not the greatest return to making content, helped me improve it greatly. Thank you guys so much. Could not have gotten to where we're at right now without you. With that said, let's hop into our first topic here, the market overview. Uh, it's it's been an interesting market coming back into the week after what we had last week. I will note that since I started even chatting about content, we have seen the market just green. So, I'm wearing the green, the John Deere hat, the OG hat, just to really stamp in my like we're back. It's bull market. Obviously got the Doodle shirt on. We got the Atom Bomb Squad glass. Oh, there's nothing on that side. It's good. Market's back. It's feeling great. I think there's still a lot of things that we need to see happen to really say that we're in a bull. Obviously, this is a healthier market than we saw in 2023, but crypto right now, Bitcoin making its absolute tear off of the ETF lows. Ethereum is lagging. That is the issue that we've it's just been the absolute most common theme that we've seen with Ethereum. And Solana is kind of lagging as well, a little bit off of what Bitcoin's doing, but it still has some strength. I'm going to talk going forward mostly about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana as like the top three chains that kind of have the narrative going into this cycle, and for obvious reasons. But you will notice that, and for people who have known me for the longest time, that I'm going to talk way more about Bitcoin and Solana because of how important they are, and how much the chains have really adapted over the bear market to not only take some of the applications that Ethereum was offering last year or last cycle that drove a lot of the demand and the activity on those chains, but also because of a lot of what we're seeing on the traditional finance side with ETFs, as well as what we saw last cycle, which was this whole like, hey, Ethereum is king. Nobody's ever going to buy an NFT on another chain. It's going to be vaporware. We've seen that narrative challenged and broken. So overall, right now, markets are up in crypto. NFT markets, we'll get into specifics, but for the most part, we are seeing a lot of volume returning. We are seeing project prices up, notably on the trending side. Lil Pudgy's 2 ETH, Pixelmon 1.5. Cool Cat's still lagging. And this, if you look at kind of our original blue chip projects from the last cycle, again, not to get too stuck on the past, but we are seeing lag still within the NFT market. And even though those projects have been executing, they're doing things like Meebits haven't done much, right? It makes sense why their price has not increased and we're not seeing huge volume return to them. But obviously, Cool Cats have continued to do some development, some IP, some animation. They're figuring out their IP licensing strategy. It sounds like they are lagging. However, Doodles and Pudgy is absolutely stealing the entire narrative of the weekend. Doodles running all the way up to 3.5 ETH. Pudgy's making their basically final stand for the Bored Ape Yacht Club floor. Seen them all the way up to 21, 22, somewhere in that range. As far as the NFT market goes as a whole, again, this is super interesting. The notable one that we talked a lot about last week was Magic Eden, with only having Solana and Bitcoin before they add in Ethereum. Their volumes have been absolutely insane, and we're also expecting them to do something on the token or point side in a significant way going forward. The more you look at the market, the more the marketplace for NFTs becomes not a head scratcher, but it makes you realize that we're going to see, I think, some fireworks going into a bull market where these marketplaces are going to do whatever it takes to acquire eyes on what they are doing and acquire users and obviously make the most of transactional volume. Blur with Blast and what they're doing, obviously they're set up in their kind of like niche of trading and loans and liquidity. Magic Eden has made an absolute stance around acquiring the top IP and making the top marketplaces, being the top marketplace for the blue chip projects. OpenSea though has not done much and has to do something, in my opinion, because they really are losing market share at every corner. And my prediction again is we're gonna see an OpenSea token before the end of the first half of the year, and we are definitely going to see them make a content driven and IP driven play here, a community driven play where they're trying to bring on probably legacy companies, be a hub for content consumption, gaming consumption, uh, interaction consumption of these assets, and try to not be, I think, like the royalty enforced marketplace or the loan marketplace. I think they're going to be like the community marketplace in some sense. That's kind of the only angle they do have left, in my opinion. So, and then just kind of looking at Bitcoin and Solana NFTs, obviously the most notable from our last chat in last week were the No Monkeys, Quantum Cats, and the Puppets. We are seeing a bit of a pullback across the entire scope here. It's gonna take some time. I don't think we're gonna see a project just launch and absolutely take off and be the absolute number one project on Bitcoin or Solana. Obviously on Solana we're seeing Tensorians and Mad Lads and whatnot still performing well, but I do think that Ethereum has kind of taken a lot of the narrative back over the last week and a half, and I am waiting for some more consolidation on those three projects on Ordinals. I will be making some purchases there for sure. Also notable, Pluid, for all your news and information, is a great resource. I do work there. But if you are looking for additional news throughout the day and throughout the week and really well written research articles, do go check out Pluid.com. It is an amazing website, and they're doing some amazing stuff. Amazing people also building it. Let's also just note that we are still in this kind of like moment of huge value accrual to a very small subset of projects. The chart I'm showing right now just showing that like CryptoPunks, Bored Ape Yacht Clubs, Pudgies, Autoglyphs, like most of the volume or value accrual in the market right now is to these small set of projects. It does show that like only the 1% and the highest, the smallest subset of what we see within the market are going to accrue the largest amount of volume. Doing the shotgun kind of like scatter method of just like throwing money around probably is not going to be the best way to get exposure in this market. Definitely trying to pick out that singular winner, obviously, as you're going to have the most upside there. It's probably the best risk reward model. So let's hop into the rest of these topics. Well, again, this show is intended to be a little bit quicker. Again, not take up too much time, 30 minutes throughout the day. And I'll just go over these topics very quickly. And again, there's an emphasis in every show around the angel and venture market, which is the market and basically what I do full time at this point. Again, within Pluid and our subset company Zawi. And then also, obviously, there are personal investments that I'm making as well. So Doodles being one of my large acquisitions within NFTs, which I recently haven't been buying much in NFTs. I've tried to step back and not buy too much. But obviously, Doodles have had an epic week. Right now, floor is a little bit, it's around 3.5. I just, obviously OpenSea and Blur are going to have different floors. But the activity and the analytics tell a very unique story here, which is price go up, volume go up, interest go up. And the most interesting thing here is that we really haven't seen anything crazy from them. This is all kind of speculation on what's to come. Are they going to do something? What are they going to do with the tens of millions of dollars that they raise? What are they going to do with these partnerships? IP licensing for Doodles and the animation side have endless opportunities. Speculative play for sure, and I'm okay with that. This is a project that has the war chest, it has the brain power, it has the executors on the team, the operators on the team to really do something special. And if the IP narrative and the IP interest and the value accrual again, does play out this cycle, then we will see Doodles have an epic rip back, hopefully, to their all-time highs. So again, nothing here is financial advice. This is, speculative. We're talking about what is possible to happen, but Doodles should be on your radar, just because of those reasons. We are seeing a lot of activity, not only on the floor, but the mids and the high tiers and unique trades. Seen some sales between 20 and 50 ETH over the weekend. So very healthy market there. Very healthy market. The other healthy market, Pudgy Penguins. Pudgy Penguins right now, floor is about 21 ETH. I think it, again, in the 20s. Again, also a lot of very strong activity. We saw them go up to 20 originally earlier in the month, or I guess later in January, early February. And then they had their value consolidation period around like 16, 18. And then now they've just kind of taken off a little bit more. I think you can't also understate airdrop value. They're expected to get more airdrops. That value plays into what you could see, the floor price go to. So if somebody else announces another airdrop and they're expected to be, a $2-3 billion market cap, and everybody for Pudgies are going to get another $5,000 to $10,000, like we saw with DYM, then, again, this is just who's crewing value. What are they doing? Are they getting exposure? They're getting attention. Crypto, NFTs, everything within this is an attention market. Pudgy Penguins are certainly winning in the attention market. They're crushing it with the Pudgy, with the the plushies. They're crushing it with their IP licensing side. Overpass IP, their internal product is absolutely one of the cleanest things I've ever seen within the IP industry. Even in traditional, how easy it is to just go in and click, sign a contract, and boom, you can allow somebody to license your Pudgy, or not somebody, but right now it's Pudgy Penguins. And then there's obviously royalty negotiation with there, and you get multiplier. It's so clean. And I think things like that are things that we haven't seen Bored Ape Yacht Club do. And for that reason, obviously, we are seeing this weird little flippening happening, which is seeing Pudgy Penguins and Bored Ape Yacht Club near closer and closer and closer. I think it happens this week. I think it's inevitable. That price is probably going to be, in my opinion, 23 and a half, maybe 24, maybe 20. Like it's we're only 1 ETH away. I think the floor for Bored Ape Yacht Club right now is 23. So 2 ETH, 3 ETH difference to go. That'll happen, and obviously you're going to have a lot of drama on the timeline because I think the Pudgy community is very excited for this. And I don't think the Bored Ape Yacht Club is as excited for that, unfortunately. So keep an eye there. Fireworks to come. Obviously, Luca, we chat with him on Friday night, played a little Fortnite with him. And, it's clear that he's working very, very hard around the clock, taking meetings around the clock. And I don't think the job is done for him until he's got the top spot. I think he just wants to be the best. I don't think Bored Ape Yacht Club is even on something that he cares about or even notices. And, it might be somewhere he says like, oh, like we did it. But I think it's a non-event, and that's the mentality you need to have to be a winner in this space. Okay. The core of the show, and obviously the most interesting topic and something that everybody's been talking about. So this is not unique. This is not me being a gigabrain. This is nothing more than me just kind of reiterating a take that I agree with. Is that Bitcoin right now is probably the most obvious play within all of crypto, and NFTs and Web3, and it just makes the most sense from a risk reward standpoint, which is we've seen the outflows from Grayscale dampen down a little bit. And even if they're a constant outflow from them of 50 to 100 million a day, that I'm cool with that, because the inflows from Fidelity and the inflows from Bitwise, and I think the other was really all of them have been pretty active, but Fidelity and BlackRock have been kind of our like golden heroes here, which is they continue to buy and they continue to acquire. And I think they originally were like $2-4 billion. And now together they're almost $8 billion between BlackRock and Fidelity. And we've also seen Fidelity start to offer BTC exposure through some of their other packaged ETF and market exposures. I think it's 1%, which is in line with their global ETF or global equities exposure, which is also 1%. So you are seeing not only their straight up ETF for BTC being pushed and sold, but also they are working the product in the asset class into other products that they have. Again, this is going to be driven purely by fees. It's something where traditional finance has a model for how they make money, and obviously, I think it's a asset class that there's a strong way to sell the narrative and get somebody to say, "Hey, 1%. You throw 1% of what you're investing with us into this. We'll see what happens." And it's only 1%, but it could do a 10x from here, and your 1% turns into 10% of your portfolio. But if it goes to zero, you're only losing 1%. Like that is the type of narrative that they're able to pitch. You can't really do that with Ford stock. You can't go to a boomer and be like, "Hey, throw 1% of your investment with us into Ford. It could do a 10%, or it could go down 10%. Like it's not, it's stable. This is stable money. It's not going anywhere. You get your dividend." The American auto, and like, this is a very unique and different product that they're able to sell. And I think there are a lot of people making their bets. The chart really does speak a lot to what we've seen coming out of this bear market, which is we really had a pullback. The 30,000 mark we were playing around with that. And then as we went into the ETF, obviously ripped back towards 50,000. We had the dip back, which you can see here, down all the way to our lows in 39 and 38. And that people were like, "Oh, we're going to go lower. And if we break through 36, then it's, game over." That was the buying opportunity, obviously. And now we are in a full on buying frenzy. We're on our way back towards the $69,000 number. And do I think we're just going to go straight up? No, I think there's going to be lots of bumps in the road. And there's obviously Fed events, like notable events real quick for anybody who's listening. CPI is tomorrow. And then obviously we have some other announcements that'll be indicators within the industry. Coinbase making earnings call on Thursday, post-market, I believe. Post-market numbers reporting, but post-market I think is when we'll probably see the most activity, obviously, when those earnings and numbers come out around Bitcoin and Ethereum and what the market is showing. Because if we see a strong report there and we see strong numbers and it shows that, hey, there is a lot of money flowing back into the market, and we're seeing either initiatives being done and traditional money is using Coinbase in a custodial way that is fee positive to them, and we're seeing the business flourish. And even though we are seeing some money and market share being pulled away from Coinbase, they're still making more fees, and it's bringing more activity and more users to the site. These are all good things, but it's all things that could also indicate that, hey, like, there isn't as much activity. It's just a bunch of banks buying Bitcoin. A lot of this is hard to see. The long thing I'm trying to get to is if you really do look at where money is going right now and ETFs and how traditional markets are operating, there is going to be an influx into Bitcoin, and it's going to have a narrative this cycle that is stronger than ever. And so if we are truly going into a bull, this should perform just as well as everything, if not better. But also have less of a downside just because of the amount of money that is flowing into it, and how the dips on this could be bought a little bit differently than other assets. The long story here, again, is don't be a maxi. Don't just buy Ethereum. Don't just buy Solana. Be open to looking at anything out there. Let's hop into some other stuff real quick, and then we'll get into our closing topic. DN404 quit. Siger, a lot of other very smart devs that are out there working on this. Keep an eye on the new standard that they're launching. There were originally some security issues and some, vulnerabilities within the original ERC 404 that we saw launch out of Pandora. That basically made a bunch of very smart people get together and say, hey, we're going to do a better standard here. Let's work on building this out to be the best of the best. For anybody who's not aware and is living under a rock or an ether rock, DNN 404 and the standard 404 is divisible NFTs essentially. ERC 20s meet ERC 2721s, where you essentially have a piecewise function of whether or not you're either holding the ERC 20 or ERC 20 plus the NFT. I'm not going to sit here and go into it because I think actually trying to understand it without visual aid, or at your own pace, or really reading through something, it's very confusing, and it's a little bit against your normal understanding of how a token or a fungible token work, fungible or non-fungible. I would encourage you to go check out. Obviously, Pluit has a great write-up on it, but if you just search DN 404 or ERC 404 on Twitter or X, you get a immense amount of information. And I do think you should go and educate yourselves, because I think this is going to be a standard that we see a lot of going forward into the rest of the market. Also, on that rock comment, I just wanted to throw this in here. As far as indicators also go for like where we are in the market cycle and what's happening, when we start to see these like nostalgic projects like EtherRocks start having large sales, we start seeing legacy auction houses like Sotheby's tweeting about them, and obviously there's some intention there, and that ruffled some feathers. But when we start to see things like this, large buys that are getting back towards like these historic highs, and we're not just seeing these sell for like 50 or 60 ETH and it's lows and it's just, we're getting off the books, it does indicate again the health of the NFT market, and it's something that people have been hoping for to return. Again, we're not back in frenzy, but it is giving early 2021 vibes. For anybody who was part of the full last cycle, we got these types of purchases from the punks side of things right before, and punks have been kind of heating up a little bit, but these traditional buys that are large numbers, very very risk on, are starting to appear again. I think we are going to see more and more of the OG project side get more volume, but I do think the number one thing you shouldn't do again is be stuck in the last cycle. Be looking at new standards, be looking at new projects. It's so EV positive to go and try testnet for new protocols, obviously use security, etc. But I think that's also going to be where we see a lot of people goof, is they look at what they did last cycle, they continue to do it, they say, hey, it worked, it's changed. There are hundreds of thousands of new entrants into the space. They're smarter, they're sweatier, they're willing to grind. There's a different metas. The trading activity and strategy has changed so much. So while we can use old projects and historical projects as indicators, doesn't mean that they're going to do the same thing they did previously. If anything, they're definitely not going to do the same thing they did previously. And it's going to be even more competitive and harder to, again, get attention in this market and economy. Real quick also on where you should be putting attention, Pixel and Wormhole pre-market is out. Keep these on your radar. Obviously market activity against these, it's going to be a very hectic second half of Q1 as far as airdrops and TGE events go. I've got it literally post-it note here with dozens written down. Make sure you're paying attention to this. These are the two that obviously are probably top of mind for this week. Going forward, we'll chat more about what you should be looking at. But notably here, we do see these trading, again, Wormhole around the 1 to 1.1 mark, and then Pixel around the just under 40 cents mark. obviously Pixel is up over their private sale numbers. Um, just to cap things off here on I think the side of topics, the venture market has been heating up more and more. If you're a project who's building or part of a project who's building, you're considering raising, I think this is a great time. I think if you're an angel on the angel side, you should be looking at as many deals as possible. The gaming sector is so hot right now. And it's being fueled by lower valuations, which I think people are not expecting. But a lot of projects are coming out with very reasonable valuations within the $8 to $15 million mark, some a little bit higher, offering 10 to 15% TGE, then a linear vest. But a lot of these projects that are coming out to raise are doing this with the intention of doing a token. And the gaming industry has gotten more and more attention. We haven't seen a leader. It's still very speculative on who's going to be the breakout game, who's going to get the most Web 2 users to onboard, and mobile also being the kind of leader of what investors want. And so if you're building in the space, if you're looking to start farming for a game, my recommendation to you, regardless, I think more almost on the farming and exposure to new protocol side, is mobile is going to have probably the strongest narrative, and it's also going to probably have the easiest onboarding mechanism to our normie friends, purely because it's kind of just in the background, and they won't know that the gem that they're trading has a either a liquidity pool against it, or we've also seen with the webhook side of things, with Solana and some of the features that they're offering, where you have this gem, which is technically a currency, and it is on the blockchain, but it's it's soul bound. You can't trade it. There is no liquidity. It's address bound, but then that can be purchased with a actual token that has a liquidity pool that you can buy within the game. Apple is still allowing people to get in and use the tokens, or use purchase of tokens. And, I think their leniency is toned down just a tad. But again, the venture market is seeing more appetite for gaming. They are looking for anything within the mobile gaming space, especially in TGE events. That kind of comes back to what are you looking at? When you see a project announce that they're doing testnet, or they're having, beta testing, and they're a mobile game, get into that. I would focus heavily there. I also think that we're seeing more and more on the Blast side heat up as we're getting closer and closer to that launching, whenever that date might truly be. But the Blast protocol development side, there's probably been more projects surfacing over the last 48 hours than the entirety of since they announced up until this weekend. Purely, I think a lot of people are getting to the point where they're okay to start talking about what they're building. And it's very clear that, forget what you might think the token and the protocol might do, but it's very clear that there are a lot of very smart people building there. There's a lot of very interesting projects that are being built there, and the yield narrative has been the forefront of it, as well as fast and cheap transactions. So I think Blaster was the number one that was mentioned. Thruster, Blaster, all the other synonyms of the Blast, the word Blast, are kind of coming out and building. Keep them on your radar. It's going to be an interesting journey as we get into these final weeks of people bridging into the Blast protocol as we go into unlock. But yeah, definitely keep that on your radar. So good to be back. Glad we're doing this again. Thanks for everybody who joined in here. I saw the chat. I see Vinny Hager on Twitter. But we're going to keep doing this every day, 11 a.m. It's going to be a little, rough. Let me know what you like and don't like. The feedback helps so much. If you aren't subscribed to YouTube, check that out. And, this is going to improve. I'm here to listen to you and get your feedback. We're building out a studio here at the house. I will catch you all